Hello guys, welcome on my channel 4 Wheels by David. Today I would like to show you how to replace timing belt with water pump on the newer Volkswagen. The same engine is on Audi, Skoda and Seat. This will be 2-liter diesel and 1.6 diesel is the same. The year will be from 2014 up to today, so up to 2023 is the same engine. Just before we start, I need to tell you about the locking pin set. You need to get the kit like this. The kit like this you can find in the description and in the comment below. Definitely you need to get one, otherwise you can do something wrong. Also, what I would tell you about, if you need a special torque setting and adjustment data, you can find instruction on each timing belt box. This is QR code and you can scan it with your phone and you can find instruction on each timing belt. So this is the newer model of Volkswagen 2-liter diesel. We have to remove this plastic cover from the engine. Of course I removed the wheel and under tray. Now we have to remove the reservoir tank. Of course, if it's full, we have to drain it. We have to remove the plug, this hose, put the pliers over the clip and then use the pliers for remove this hose. Then you can use screwdriver to unlock this plastic clip and remove this hoses. Then you can use again screwdriver to move the plastic clips and remove this reservoir tank from the brackets. Now I have to remove this fuel filter, the plastic clips, and then we can use 10mm socket to remove 2 bolts and 1 nut. It's very handy to have the magnetic tray so you can put the bolts on it to not lose any bolt. Now we can take the filter up and at the bottom we can slide over the reservoir tank. Like I said, remember to drain this because otherwise everywhere will be leaking this coolant. My pump is fucked, so I don't have any coolant on the system. Now we have to remove this DPF temperature sensor. I'm using this cutted socket. Over this socket I usually using the hose clip, because otherwise this socket getting open when the sensor is very tight and won't work. Now the sensor is loose, so I slacked it before. And remember guys to subscribe my channel. This is not very much for you but very much for me. Now 16 and 18mm socket. Remember guys to put a jack under the engine so the engine will be sitting on the jack. Remember to put a flat block of wood to not make a hole in the engine oil sump, and put the jack directly under the engine, closer to the timing belt side. Now 2 bolts on the engine mount, 18mm. We need to take them out, and other 2 are on the body, and 13mm on the side. Now the 16mm, 2 bolts, and 16mm now again. I took a wrong socket at first time, and now 13mm over here. We need to use a ratchet for it. Remember guys, keep the bolts in a safe place and put them together, otherwise you will have a problem to get it back. Like for example, the engine mount bolts keep separately next to the engine mount, and other bolts together with another part, and then you don't have a problem with it. The mount is off. We can remove the pipes for a DPF pressure sensor. So the pipes are in here. We have to remove 2 clips. I'm using this nose pliers for it. So I took the clips off first, and then I slide off this hoses, and now T30 Torx to remove this tiny bolt also going into the tray to not lose it. Now we have to loosen the 3 bolts for engine mount. 2 at the bottom and 1 on the right side, and we have to remove the timing belt cover as well when we slack the mount. So we have to remove this plastic inner arch, just 3 bolts on the top, 2 on the side and 3 at the bottom, just to get off the bottom pulley off. Here you can see how my engine is supported. When I take this plastic off, I will get the bottom pulley off. So now I can loosen the fan belt. I have to loosen tensioner. This is a 16mm socket ratchet. Better is do it at the bottom. I think it's a wee bit easier, but I would show you how to do it. But at the bottom is not too much space to show it. The fan belt is off now. Now I have to remove this cover. This is very tight. This cover is very bad to remove, so you need to be hard with it. You can lose this alloy mount, what I said about, to get slightly more space. Like I said, this is hard to remove, so you need to shake wee bit to the left, wee bit to the right to pass it through. You can remove the fuel filter pipes, but then you have to bleed the filter again, so will be another problem. I'm not doing it usually, because of problems with bleeding, but it's not big problem to remove for me, this cover. Alright, I managed to take the cover off and I slack this mount. Like I said, 2 bolts on the left and 1 on the right. For the left ones you need to use this type of spanner, and these are 2 bolts on the left and 1 on the right. The one on the right, use a deep socket and ratchet. You can go through this hole in here and reach this bolt like that. For these bolts on the left, you need go at the bottom and loose them at the bottom. And of course you need to turn the V-bed bracket and remove the bolts, otherwise it's hard to pass between engine and body to remove this bracket. Sometimes you need to take the engine slightly up, slightly down, just to get enough space to pass through with this bracket. Like I said, you have to remove the bottom pulley. The bolts are type spline M10, so you have to remove the 4 bolts to get the pulley off. Keep the bolts safely together with the bottom pulley to not mix them. This is spline type bit, and that's it. Now we have to remove the plastic cover for timing belt. This is mounted for 4 bolts T30 Torx, so we need to remove it. Just quickly I would show you the access for this 3rd bolt on this engine mount. So deep socket M16, turn the ratchet 90 degrees and then you have nicely access into this bolt. Of course you need to adjust the engine up or down to line it up the bolt with the engine block mount, and then you can remove this mount easily. Two bolts on the left, you need to remove them through here, and then you can turn the mount and remove it. On the next step I can take zip ties and secure this fuel filter into this metal pipes from the injectors, so will be sitting nicely. Now I have to take this cover off, like I said before. So T30 Torx on my ratchet, remove this cover, and that's it. Of course, remember guys, you have to clean this cover. 4 bolts is on it. You have to clean this cover with a brake clutch and cleaner. Here is the clips. You need to remember to put it in on the way back, to put it in first, to not break this clip. This is very easy to do it, so remember guys about this clip. This clip first, then put the plastic into the engine block. At the bottom is another clip, and I will show you how it looks like. Now we got access into the timing belt, So we have to clean this mess of the water and everything, because the water pump leaking of the coolant. So we have to clean it with the air line and brake and clutch cleaner. Here is this space for this clip, what I said you about it, for this cover. If we are on this stage, sometimes it's good to remove this timing belt gear and replace the seal, this plastic seal coming on the 6 bolts, and 4 for engine sump. Of course, if you want to replace the belt behind this cover, is another belt for oil pump, and you have to take the sump off, drain the oil, change the oil and filter, so it's few hours more of work. But if you want to just replace this seal with this plastic housing, is 4 bolts on the top, at the bottom, and 6 at the engine block, what I remember about. Now cleaning progress. So brake and clutch cleaner, spray it through nicely and clean it with air line. Make sure that everything is clean properly, no dust, no oil, no coolant and other stuff. Of course, if we remove the belt, we can do it again. Like I said you before, you need this kit to do it properly. This is very important. If you don't have this kit, just borrow it or buy it or whatever, but you need to get it. Otherwise you can't set up timing properly. Now we need a 19mm socket. This is 12-point socket to turn crankshaft into the right side. Always clockwise direction, remember guys. If you don't have this socket, you can use spanner. Spanner is also 12mm. And over here, where is my finger, I have to put the locking pin. I have to put the pin this and the same time slightly slowly turning the engine clockwise. So the pin is in this position, so you need to turn slowly and slide the pin in. It's just between 9 and 6 o'clock, like. So the camshaft is locked now. The pin is slid in. You need to remember to put it far how you can. Then we have to lock the fuel pump and crankshaft. The crankshaft is not locked yet, but I locked the pump. If for some reason it's too hard to put the crankshaft lock, Then you need to loosen the tensioner slightly. So to put the crankshaft lock, you need to use these two holes, one on the left and one on the right, and the central pin needs to go into the plastic hole at the engine block. Needs to look like that, but my main pin is not in the right position. I have to turn slightly crank or loosen the tensioner. So this is locked, the camshaft is locked, and we have to put the pin right in because my crankshaft pin is not in properly at the bottom. It's just the tiny, so like I said, I have to loosen tensioner to get some movement, and then I will be able to turn crankshaft slightly to the left, just slightly. You can't go far to pass this pin through. Here you can see just the tiny turn needs my engine. So now we have to mark points with a Tipex or paint or marker. Just mark on the top. We need three main marks, one on the crankshaft, one on the pump, and one on the cam. This is a crankshaft, of course, at the bottom. The locking pins are in. Later we have to loosen this pump and camshaft gear just to get some movement on these gears, but I will show you later how to do it properly. So the marks which you marked with the Tipex could slightly move, just to slightly. Now we have to remove this timing belt. You can see that it's free because the tensioner is loosened. So I have to remove these two pulleys, this one and this top one, and then tensioner, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to slide the belt off. It will be too tight. So 13mm socket, I loosened it before. Now I have to remove this bolt from this pulley, one, and one at the bottom, the nut. This nut is off. And now I can slide the belt off with tensioner. Just be careful guys, don't use any tools on it to not damage the teeth on the gears or anything. And here we are, belt is off, tensioner is off. Now I have to remove these two bolts for tensioner and bottom pulley. For the top one shouldn't be problem, but for bottom one use some WD-40 for the bottom one. If you don't know how to take this bolt off, you can use two 8mm nuts and squash them together, or use this tool. This is a special tool for studs getting locked, and you can remove this without any problem. The top one's sitting in alloy, so should be alright, but like I said, at the bottom slightly WD-40 and then clean the hole for this bolt with a brake and clutch cleaner and airline. I got bolts replaced, so now we have to replace a water pump. For this we need this screwdriver. This is T30 Torx for a sensor, and then we have to use M10 bead for 3 bolts on the pump. Remember guys, be careful with this sensor. Turn it slightly left, right, and pull up at the same time to remove it. And this is M10 spline for 3 bolts for a pump. Remember guys to keep a bucket under the engine, because coolant of course will start leak after you loosen this bolt, so you need to keep bucket under. Bolts are loosened, so I have to take them off now. Always remember guys, always when you're doing the timing belt, always replace the pump. This is very important. Some people don't do it, but it's very good to do it just. Of course, if we remove the pump, we have to clean the surface with the sandpaper, water sandpaper, to make it nice and shiny. The old pump plays so much, you can hear the roughness of the bearings when you spin, and it's fact, yeah, it's plays so much, it's worn. This also the cover for these paddles won't move, and was fault on the engine, on the dash, that the engine getting overheating. I am not surprised with this, because of the pump won't work properly. This is a reason of the light. Now the surface for a water pump is clean with the, I cleaned it with the sandpaper, water sandpaper. So now we can mount new pump on it. The space for a sensor is blanket because there's no covers on the paddles on this type of pump, on the new pump. And remember guys to install the seal on the pump. Torque the pump properly, torque the sensor. I put this pulley on the top as well. I torqued it. And I don't put it the bottom pulley. Now I have to mount the tensioner. It's this hook and this needs to be attached into the engine block. So remember to put it in the right position. It's a slot for this hook. You need to make sure that the tensioner is locked in this slot. Otherwise you can damage this bracket, this hook. Yeah. Put the nut on the tensioner, not too tight, just hand tight, just to get the tensioner moving free. Now I am ready for new belt, but like I said, we have to loosen this bolt in here for a cam and this nut for a pump. Also we have to remove this tiny bolt on the T30, and this is 24 mil and cam is 18 mil. We have to use this tool to secure actually this cams, this gears for a turning. So this bolt need to be removed, the tiny ones, to put this tool properly in. You can use the cam first. Make sure that the tool is fitted properly, and gently loose the bolt. Few turns, and the same with the fuel pump. The gear should be free to turn, just slightly free. And the same procedure for fuel pump. We have to loose this nut. Nut is loose and gear is free to turn. Just so remember right, guys, don't go too far away from your mark. Everything is locked, so nothing should happen, but just in case, don't go too far away. The cam is locked, pump is locked, crankshaft is locked, but these gears need to be free to turn when we adjust the tensioner. Now I am ready to put the new belt on it. This pulley I will put last. Have a look on the direction on the belt. On the some of the belts is direction. I start with the camshaft, then tensioner at the bottom. You can use these plastic clips to support the belt to lock it in place. Otherwise the belt like to slack. Then you have to go into the fuel pump, put the belt under the pulley and over the fuel pump next. Then water pump and crankshaft at the bottom. Remember to not leave the belt too loose between gears. Belt need to be tight and keep the gears close into the marks which you made before. Now I have to go at the bottom and put the belt over the gear. Of course, we can't use any special tools or screwdrivers to put the belt on it. This needs to be made by hand. Sometimes you have to turn the tensioner slightly to get it move, to get more length of the belt. Everywhere the belt must be tight between the teeth, and on the last step I will put this pulley on. This is so much easier, and this loose what is in here will be adjusted through the tensioner. So nut. Remember guys to keep the torque setting. Now I can torque these two pulleys, the top one and the bottom one. The water pump of course is tight, just these two. This one is already tight, but then we can adjust the tensioner. I done some X marks on my bolts and nuts, so I know that this is torqued properly. Now we have to adjust tensioner because this is loose, so we have to adjust it properly with the Allen key. This is 6mm Allen key for it. Now we need to use Allen key and turn clockwise to adjust timing belt. This nut needs to be free. Remember this bolt and this nut is also free to keep the distance between gears and everything. We need to keep this bolt and nut free during the adjustment. So I turning the spanner, the Allen key down clockwise, and now I have to lock a nut. On the back you can see this indicator, this arrow have to go in the place for proper adjustment. Now the arrow is in right position, so I can lock nut. I have to torque it Of course we need to use a adjustment setting for it, torque setting, and use a torque wrench. This is just torqued, but we have to check it with the torque wrench to make sure that it's properly, and indicator in the back. Here I would like show you, this is arrow and needs to go on this space, needs to be lined up for proper adjustment on the tensioner. Now I'm using this torque wrench for this tensioner. Keep the Allen key in one position and then torque it. What I remember was 20 Newton meters and 45 degrees, but adjustment setting will be on the end of the video available, so you can follow it. On this step we have to torque, make sure that the belt is tight properly everywhere, and we have to torque camshaft and pump. What I remember is 95 Newton meters for a pump and 100 Newton meters for a camshaft. So the pump first, make sure that the tool sitting properly, pressure on the bar and 95 Newton meters. Now the same procedure with camshaft, 100 Newton meters for camshaft, and we have to remember to put this tiny bolt in, and also I make a cross that these bolts are tight, are checked, cross, here is also cross, pump as well. So everything is checked. Of course we need to check tensioner after 2 turns. So we have to remove these pins, locking pins, and we have to turn the engine clockwise 2 times to make sure that the tensioner is in the right position. Of course this marker marks can move slightly because this gears was free to turn, but like I said, remember to keep them close, so it should be alright. After 2 turns we have to put the pins again back on to make sure that everything is alright. I turn twice the engine and my arrow is below mark, so I have to adjust the tensioner again, and I have to do another 2 turns to make sure that the tensioner is in the correct position. I spin the engine twice and the tensioner is torqued. Tensioner sitting now in the right position. This is a proper position for it. Just put the engine in the marks and put the lockers again to make sure that they fit alright. That is, then should be fine. Then you are able to start the engine after everything will be back on. So I put everything back together. Now we have to bleed the coolant system. So make sure that everything is on, fill up with the coolant and start the engine for 20 to 30 minutes. After 3 minutes you can keep the revs about 2000 for 2-3 minutes and put a heater on the hot position. You can switch ignition on these engines for few times for 10-20 seconds. Then the electric pump should move the coolant and it should help to bleed the system better. Make sure guys that everything is on properly. Check if there's no any bolts missing or tools. That's it. Thank you very much guys for watching. If you like my video, please leave me a like, subscribe my channel and leave a comment below. So see ya next time guys. Thank you for watching. Bye. Just like I said, don't forget to subscribe my channel. I try my the best. Thank you.